All right, so what year is it?
Huh?
What year is yours?
22.
22. Is anything done to it? Have you done anything to it?
No.
Suspension? Oh, shoot. Yeah. Suspension stock and everything?
Yeah, everything's stock.
A freshie?
I did a couple of adjustments.
Yeah.
I had a whole stop to fight.
Well, the only thing done on that suspension.
Yeah. What is going on, guys? We're back with another video, and this is a series that I'm excited to try and maybe can do more in the future. What I'm going to call this is just Average Joe Bike Test. And what this is when I have buddies at the track or friends or even just kind people that'll let me ride their bike. I'm not going to go out of my way and ask people if I can ride their bike. That's just kind of rude. But if the offer is there, I'll ride it and I'll share my opinions on it. My plans to do one roll lap and then one faster lap. I do want to note in this video, I'm at the Shoals MX, and this track is a little beyond my skill level. So the laps aren't great. The second lap, even though it is what in my opinion is a heater lap, it's not going to be that entertaining and fast. But the point of this video is just to let you know my thoughts on the bike I rode. So the bike we have today is a 2022 KX250. This is my buddy Ryan's. We actually met here at the Shoals this day and we were hanging out, and he offered me to ride it, and I gave him the offer to ride my KTM, and he even shared some thoughts on it that I'll share with you guys. But we're just going to jump right into it. The first thing I noticed on this bike is ridiculously loud. Holy cow, it'll give the Yamaha a run for its money. It's funny, I've never actually noticed how loud the Kawasaki's are, because when you're standing off to the side, or even when one passes you, you don't really hear it, not quite like a Yamaha. But actually sitting on this bike, I was blown away with how loud it was. I really wanted earbuds. That's how loud this thing was. But with it being loud, it kind of tripped me out on the just knowing what gear I was in. I was kind of gear hunting a little bit, just because it is loud. When it's louder like that, I feel like it's higher in the RPM, so I'd want to shift, or I'd want to shift down. And I don't know if that lead to the issue I was also having with this bike, but because of that, I was kind of having issues with the engine braking. It just didn't feel like it was getting a lot of engine braking compared to my KTM. Obviously there was some engine braking, but it just felt not nearly as much. I don't know how that works. Maybe some engineers in the comments can let me know. But that was just the only really problem I had with this bike. And honestly, that's not even a problem. That's just me doing 2 laps and not used to how freaking loud this bike is. But other than that, this is hands down, other than my own personal bike, the most favorite bike I've ever ridden. I've gotten to ridden a good bit of bikes now, and this honestly felt the most natural for me. It felt extremely similar to my KTM, and I absolutely loved riding it. The only thing I would really change is kind of the cockpit, just kind of change like the foot levers a little bit, because I'm a little bit longer than Ryan. Ryan's a little bit shorter than me, so I was kind of like, I would have my foot on the peg and the lever at the same time, and it would kind of get stuck. And I would run personally, I'm trying to convince Ryan on this, I would put some Phoenix handlebars on that thing and get a little bit taller bar bend. But that's really the only thing that I changed. The suspension felt great, didn't really feel any difference. I didn't notice a difference with the spring fork compared to the air fork. The engine power is very similar, not a lot of hit on the bottom, but just you can really stay in the gears long, and just has that top end power. And I really enjoyed that. A couple things I noticed was his chain is super loud. I don't know if that is Kawasaki spec or if that's just how Ryan's running it. The chain was a little loud. I could hear it a lot, kind of very similar to my KTM. And one thing I absolutely love about this bike, and it was probably my favorite thing, ironically, as you can see, I blow the corner right there, because just, again, the engine braking and not knowing what gear I was in was kind of tripping me out. And that is Ryan behind me on my KTM 250, and he'll blow by me in a minute. He's a little bit better than me. But one thing I absolutely love is the levers on this bike. The stock levers are perfect. I told Ryan, I'm like, dude, don't ever change these. I love they're just very skinny. I actually changed the levers on my KTM to some unbreakables, and they're just still a little bit thicker, so it's kind of a little bit, I guess, not necessarily harder, but it's just a little bit trickier to wrap your full finger around it. And I didn't have to do that at all with his. I absolutely love how his levers felt. I wouldn't change them a bit. But my personal opinion is, if you're a guy and you're looking into you want a KTM, you want one of those Austrian bikes, but it's probably a little bit out of your budget because those bikes are crazy expensive, I would look into the KX. It felt a lot similar to me. Like I said, I felt pretty natural, felt at home, and I'm willing to say this is my most favorite bike. Even the past KTMs I've ridden, this bike right here felt the most similar to the 2023, the new generation. So if you're into one of those bikes and you're looking at it, I would highly recommend that. I do want to note one thing with Ryan. He actually sent me a text, and I'm going to pull it up right now, and I'm just going to read it word for word, his opinion on my KTM. So he said, so yours was definitely more refined. It might just be the revalve because I do have aftermarket suspension, but it felt planted in the corners. WP isn't all bad like people make it out to be. Might just be my skill level, but it felt just as good or better than my spring forks. Thank you, Ryan. People, stop crapping on these air forks. Give them a chance. But going on, he said, as a shorter rider, I was afraid it might feel tall, but not at all. And he said the rider triangle is perfect for him, and that's a good point. The Kawasaki is a little bit shorter, KTM's a little bit taller. I didn't per se notice it so much, and like Ryan said, he didn't notice. I think once you get on the bike and start going, this is kind of something you don't maybe notice as much, maybe in the corners a little bit. But we also did mention, and me and Ryan were talking about it, one thing that I've noticed with this 2023 KTM compared to every single bike that I've ever rode, you get no vibration in the cockpit. Like, you don't really, a lot of bikes, even Ryan's Kawasaki, like, you can tell that motor's running because you can just feel a little bit of vibration, like in your hands and that over. He pointed out too, you don't get none of that in this 23 KTM. It's kind of like, if you were deaf, you probably wouldn't even know the bike was on. But that's just one thing, and I like that. Maybe some other people don't, just kind of depends on the rider. But we're going to leave it at that. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe. And Ryan, if you're watching this, thank you so much for letting me ride your bike, man. It was sweet. I appreciate it. And if I see any of you guys at the track and that offer is there, I will be more than happy to check it out. But other than that, I'm going to leave it to it. We'll see y'all.